I was always like the guy where Riley had the quote. I think it was this offseason where he was like, there was a time, in the 3-4 stretch that I thought he was better than Kobe. And I think all of us Heat fans, we always looked at D Wade and we're like, yeah, like, if he had Shaq in his prime for those, he'd rack up all those rings too. But it's kind of a weird debate to even have when you have D Wade, who's like out there, always be telling you like, I looked up to Kobe. That was the guy I wanted to be. And so from that standpoint, you want, what was going to be his reaction to this? Because, he had the tweet immediately as all this was going down. It was like, God, no, no, no. And, he did some reflecting yesterday on Instagram. And here was the great Heat guard reflecting on the life of Kobe Bryant.
Today is one of the saddest days in my lifetime. It seems like a bad dream that you just want to wake up from. It's a nightmare. I know we all feel the same way about such a great leader, just a great champion, just a great person. If you got a chance to know Kobe, you got a chance to really know Kobe, ain't nobody better, man. Emotions are all over the place. These are the moments when you ask why.
So that was D Wade yesterday on his Instagram. You could just tell he's tremendously broken up about it, and understandably so. He's a guy who played on the '08 Olympic team with him. Remember Bald D Wade, where that was kind of Wade's coming back from the injury. Kobe was so clutch for Team USA on those and helping them, the Redeem team, getting them back to gold, and having all those guys there. LeBron, Carmelo, Chris Bosh. And then even with him on Team USA the years after that with KD and all that stuff, like he really just touched so many of this next generation that looked up to him. And I wanted to read this piece because I thought of this when he when this was all going down yesterday and seeing D Wade's post, but I remember this post. I couldn't remember who it was from, but it was Rachel Nichols who had a story from Kobe's retirement year. And so here's what she posted. This was from December 4th of 2015. And she said, way too long for 140 characters, but here's a Kobe story that Dwyane Wade told me. This was last month, the night before the Heat hosted the Lakers here in Miami. Wade decided to stop by the arena and get a soak in the cold tub. He goes to the Heat locker room and back to the training room. Who was already sitting in the tub? Kobe Bryant. Wade told me in the 13 years that he played for the Heat that he's never seen Pat Riley let an opposing player into the inner sanctum like that, using the team facilities, and that, frankly, he was shocked. Of course, that's the respect that Kobe earned, and the two old friends had a great long talk at the end of it. Kobe asked if his sons were coming to the game the next night. Dwyane said no, as it was a school night, and Kobe says, you know what, bring them. I think it's going to be my last time here. Dwyane brought the boys. They got a lifetime memory after the game, taking pictures with Kobe. And the Wade family got a little sneak preview of Kobe's retirement announcement before anybody else.
Cool.
Yeah. And it was, I saw Wade's son Zaire, putting up like Uncle Kobe, and there's a picture, I don't know if it was a picture from that night, but just him as a young kid with that. And man, it's just it's one of those things. It's just absolutely surreal. It's bananas. Thinking about this, it's such a hole in the sporting community, and I mean to know what happened to him and his family is just such a tragedy. And obviously, yeah, I know that there were a lot of other people on that plane, but this guy was an icon to Los Angeles, and you just think about like all the people that were going to Staples Center yesterday with the Grammys there. They were trying to tell people to stay away, and
yeah,
people are like,
I mean,
how? Like where else? They're going there and putting up shrines and whatnot. It's nuts, man.
I think it's just one of those situations where we want to catch you off guard, and two, the funny thing about sports is sports brings people together, whether it's to either hate the visiting team, cheer for your team, enjoy, company, whatever it is, it brings people together. And this is one of those situations where, like, probably the first thing that came to mind was, oh, you know what? I'm going to pay homage in front of the Staples Center. Oh, okay. Grammys be damned. Like, we're sorry. Like, this is what we do. This is what we've always done. You want to get people, good or bad, collectively cheering or booing somebody.
Yeah.
Sports is a heck of a thing.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of when Jose died.
Yeah, I was thinking
when
the
Jose
same thing.
Fernandez dies. And that was a crazy experience because I'll never forget that morning. As obviously none of us will, but I had Fighters Fury that morning.
Yeah.
I had Fighters Fury
Right.
that morning at the station, and we got the news right before the show went on the air, and so obviously I kind of scrapped all the fighting stuff, and we just talked about what was going and happening with Jose, but what that team went through. And they say it was a franchise changer. Like if you want to
Sure.
talk about like
Sure.
all the stuff that, the Giancarlo Stanton's, the Christian Yelich, the D. Gordons, all those guys, and you lose a guy like that who not only was an iconic pitcher for this city and a guy that the city really identified with, arguably one of the best pitchers in the league, and you just lose that in the blink of an eye. And how did his team, you think about that first game because they canceled the game that day. I remember Rich Waltz doing an amazing job on the broadcast that day. And then you think about the next game when D. Gordon hit the home run, and you're just like, how do you explain stuff like that? He's D. Gordon, and I think he did it with Jose's bat too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he batted righty first. Took the first couple pitches
Yeah.
right-handed,
Yeah.
and then switched over to the left side
Yep.
and hit a home run.
Yep. So it was it's crazy.
I remember it was a whirlwind for you to do Fighters Fury, then you had to do the morning show, and then I think for a week, you guys were out at Heat Media Day, the next day, the day after.
Yeah,
and,
I think you're right.
Yeah, and it was just weird. It was just a weird turn of events.
Yeah, I remember going to a game that day. I didn't go to the game afterwards. I watched that on television, but I remember going to a game pretty recently thereafter, and it was just odd. Like it felt like it just felt like it didn't feel like a normal sporting event. Like there was no gimmicks going on between games. Like they were just
Right.
playing the games.
Right.
Just playing the games.
Right.
And the guys were just like, let's just get through this. And yeah, the Marlins franchise has never been the same. But what else is crazy with the Kobe thing is just like he was just praising LeBron. Like LeBron had
Right.
just passed him the
Just
night
past
before.
him, and
And,
LeBron was, basically paying homage to him and actually saying, look, I'm different than Kobe. Kobe's Kobe.
Yeah.
That's like when you talk about Jordan. Like, yeah, you can look at the numbers or whatever, but watching them play, and watching the mentality in which they played, and the way they worked at their craft, that's a different level. Kobe wasn't, like physically dominant like LeBron, but he played that way. He demanded. It's almost like the scoring of James Harden with the attitude of Jimmy Butler, right? Like that demand on others, that demand on. Or you remember the playoff game where he wouldn't shoot. He's like,
Yep.
okay, yeah, y'all want to be the guy. You
Yeah.
want to be the guy. Here you go.
No, we saw. That's the thing with Kobe is Kobe had he had so many chapters of this career
Right,
that was like the sidekick of Shaq,
right,
the breakup between them, him kind of demanded. Remember the trade demand of the Bulls
Right.
that went down. Then he gets Powell, kind of the redemption of getting those teams with Lamar Odom, and remember Shaq got the ring before him down here. It's
Right.
crazy about it. Like there's the ties with the Heat are always going to be known because this was where Shaq ended up. And if that team never broke up, what would those guys have been if they were on the same page
right.
with each other?
Of course. I mean, that's one of the crazy things about it is that, like, when you play a sport, let's keep. He played a sport for 20 years, right? And it's not like it's baseball. No, you're playing 82, and you want to talk about a guy who tracked a lot of miles. Look at how many games he played because he went to playoffs almost every year.
Yep.
So you're talking about playoffs. You're talking about, playing most of the games in every year. No load management. No, none of that. So everybody's going to be touched by a guy that's been in a sport for 20 years, but great for 20 years. Everybody's like, "Ooh, he scored 60." Like we made fun of that 60, but
yeah, but that's him. That's the way he should go out.
That's the way.
Yeah.
That's
the way he should go out.
Wait, name a Heat player who's going to go out like that.
I mean, if Deion ever got that chance, speaking,
Deion say, hey.
I do want to touch on Deion at some point in today's show because I was at Friday night's game and it was. The whole day of it. The whole day of it was. We'll take a break. Well, I'll tell you about it because it was the whole day of it with leading up to Deion playing.
Everybody was getting antsy.
was pretty weird. We'll be back with more after this.